it's Friday and I'm here, so I've got beer. Get right into the segment. What I have this week is the Kumbacher Eisbock, and some of you are probably going, what the heck is an Eisbock? Well, an Eisbock is basically, you take a bock, and then you freeze it a little bit, and some ice floats to the top that, it's not pure water, but it's mostly water, and then you take that out, and then what you're left with is the Eisbock. And so therefore, Eisbocks tend to be higher alcohol content, fuller bodied, more malty, and in general, I feel more delicious. Now, Kumbacher is claiming to be they say that they are the original German Eisbock. I don't know if that means that they're the first or not, but I'm really anxious to try them. There will be a link, as always, to Beer Advocate in the sidebar. It got a really good rating of A-, and this one happens to be 9.2% alcohol by volume. It's said that you should pour this in either a brandy snifter or a flute glass, and I don't have either of those around. The closest thing I have sitting here is this balloon glass, which admittedly is a poor substitute, but I'm gonna try, so here we go. I like that it's nice and coppery coming out, a little dark. Looks like it's got some nice bubbles going on to it. About a 1-finger head. Can't see through it. That makes me happy. Let's see what's on the nose. It's like rich and syrupy and malty, and just like I can smell like dark roast without, I don't pick up any coffee really though on it, and that's good. And I don't really pick up any hops, and it usually for Eisbocks, the hops get dulled when you take out the ice, so hopefully it won't be too hoppy. Cheers. Wow. So this has the perfect mouthfeel. Like, it's just as thick as you can get it without being syrupy. And the bubbles permeate it well. Like, it's got the perfect carbonation balance. It's nice and dark. At the end, you get a little bit of bitterness, but it's from the roast of the malt, and it's not really a hop bitterness. I really enjoy this. It's a great beer. Probably you mostly want to drink this in winter if you're a normal person. I love drinking these sorts of beers all year round, so cheers. Moving on, because I have about 3 questions to answer. The first one is Half-Blood Prince reaction. So I really, really loved this film overall. I think that it is the first Harry Potter movie to stand on its own as a film, and I was really pleased with that. Now, let's get my pet peeves out of the way, because there were some things that were not in the film that kind of made me upset. One of those things was that there was nothing about how Snape essentially ratted out Lily and James, and that made me a little upset, because that is a big part of the reason why Harry hates him so much. So I was upset that got left out. I was upset that we didn't see the Cup or the Diadem. I'm assuming they're going to fix that in the first part of 7 somehow, and I really hope it's not a Hermione monologue. I was also really upset that when Dumbledore gave his speech in the Great Hall, he tells everybody that Voldemort is Tom Riddle. That really ticked me off, because I really, really enjoy that epic battle in 7, and Harry finally says, he calls him out as Tom Riddle, and all of the Molly Weasley generation and stuff like that, they're finally figuring out who this guy really is, because it's not well known that he is Tom Riddle. And so, like, that really, that upset me, even though I know that it's not that important of a plot point. The fourth thing that I really, really, really would have liked to see were, there were no Dursleys, and that is my favorite Dursley scene ever, where they have, like, the glasses knocking at their heads, and Dumbledore's essentially, like, insulting them right to their face, and I loved that scene. It was one of the funniest scenes in all the books, I think, and I understand why they cut it out, but I would have loved to have seen it. As for pros, I thought all of the romance scenes were done beautifully, and in particular, I really loved the bird scene because I thought that the interaction between Harry and Hermione there was very, I don't know, like, we never see Harry comfort Hermione really in the books and say something, but I feel like that's something that Harry would try to do, and I'm glad that I got to see it in the movie version, even if it really didn't happen in the books. The other thing I really loved, Slughorn giving over the memory, that metaphor with the lily and the fish and everything, like, that made me cry. But, and the other thing I loved, Dumbledore's death, like, I'm glad, I mean, I didn't love that he died, obviously, but, I'm glad that even though they didn't have a funeral, the whole thing with Lumos and a light penetrating the darkness of the Dark Mark, that was a very, very powerful moment, and I thought they did it very well, and so I was happy about that. So yeah, overall, Half-Blood Prince, really loved it. Can't wait for it to come out on DVD. Probably won't see it again in the theater because I don't like to go to the movie theater that often. But, okay. So next thing I'm supposed to talk about is games, video games. So I don't play video games now unless you count KOL, which I've already talked about. And in the past, I played things, but, like, I love Super Nintendo and stuff, and Nintendo 64, and I love adventure games. But the only game I'm going to say that I've really ever followed all the way through with would be the very first Pokemon Blue and Red version. I actually caught all 151 Pokemon or whatever, and so I'm going to say that that's probably my only game I've ever actually finished. The only other game that I came close to finishing was Super Mario 64, and I still currently have 119 stars. And it's not even like the last star I have left to get is a hard one, like, you have to beat a turtle in a race, but I still haven't done it. So maybe one day I'll get that out again and get the last star. Who knows? And I'd asked us if we'd had any recurring dreams. And yeah, in my youth, my recurring dream was, so I don't know if you're familiar with the Roald Dahl book, The Witches, but it got made into a movie. And in the movie, the witch, I don't know if this happens in the book or not, it might, but the witch turns the boy into, like, a hamster and traps him in one of those, like, orange plastic hamster mazes. And I always have a dream used to have a dream when I was little that I was that hamster, and it was so scary. That was my recurring awful dream, as funny as that is. Since I've been older, like, the recurring dream that I've had is homework problems. Like, if I couldn't get something finished the night before on a problem set, I would spend the entire night dreaming about hard problems that I couldn't do, and I would wake up panicked. And that's happened a whole lot. So there's that one, and then as far as, like, dreams now, like, I pretty much have either a dreamless sleep or I have a bad dream. When I have good dreams, I just don't tend to remember them, I think. I think they occur maybe just as much as bad dreams. I'm not really sure. So that's all the questions. So I don't leave you with nothing. As always, I'm going to give you a link. The link this week is to a stop-motion video of clouds, and it's very intriguing. I liked it a lot. It's by a guy named Mac, and I think he calls his stuff Macmations and Mac Productions, and you should check it out because it's really cool. Anyway, that's all, and Johnny, I'll see you on Monday.